Weren't all the way, but we're back together today. So good to see everybody on Zoom. Hello to all of you on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and all the spots. How are you all? Let's say hello in the chat if you're on Zoom, in the comments if you're watching on social, and let's just do a moment to get present into this new week. Some of you, it's quite early on the West Coast, Carissa and Tanya, and some of you, it is mid-morning, it's afternoon. So let's take some breaths together in through the nose and out through the mouth and get ready to start this week in a higher vibration, right? Let's get ready to start this week in intention, in empowerment, in inspiration, in flow. In fact, let's all pick a word. If you could wave a magic wand and this week could go any kind of way, like, would your word be flow? Would your word be abundance? Would your word be restoration? Like maybe you get to restore a little bit this week, have some recovery time. So go ahead and check in with yourself and just take a moment. And yeah, those of you on Zoom, put it in the chat, on socials, put it in the comments. I'm pulling up a couple notes for today because I had a lot of inspiration when I was traveling and couldn't wait to get back here and get together today. So I'm going to pull up what we're going to do. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So let's keep those breaths going. If you're just jumping on, we're tuning in to what kind of week you're choosing to have, right? What kind of week, if you could have it be any kind of a week, what kind of week is it? Is it a high octane, like power week? Is it I'm just kind of floating down the river week, receiving? So Sarah's going to have an intentional week. Corinne, encouraged. You're going to feel encouraged. Pantea, smooth. Charla, lightness and freedom, kind of a cleanse. Christina's calling creativity. Tanya, light. Yeah, really good. Inspired, Carissa. These are beautiful. Josh is like, I'm going to do this week as scheduled. That's what I would like. That's what I'm going for. Productive, unstoppable. Yeah, these are beautiful. All right. So we forget how this is something we talk about a lot here in the Thought Leader Lounge and in Thought Leader Academy, that we have more agency than we think, meaning we have more choice, we have more power to decide. And by setting the intention at the beginning of a day, a segment of the day, a week, like we do here at the Thought Leader Lounge, we come in here to say, we're going to make this an epic week. And we get to say and claim that for ourselves. And it can look very unepic, right? And that's okay, because we're not creating whatever's already in form is like, that's already in the rearview mirror. That's an effect. All right. So we're working from cause. That's what I want to work on today in the Thought Leader Lounge. Working from cause, not effect. Effect is where I look at my email and I have a reaction to something and I feel a certain way, stressed, anxious, even joyful, but I'm reacting, right? Versus another way that we can approach is to choose, this is the way I intend to feel, regardless of what is showing up. I don't mean in some kind of weird being in denial of what's happening, but we could be proactive and intentional versus reactive. And a lot more of what we want can more easily reach us and happen for us when we, in my experience, when we do that. Has anyone else had that where you really get intentional and say, like, I'm going to focus on revenue this week, or I'm going to focus on love this week, I'm going to focus on balance this week, I'm going to focus on, fill in the blank. And the reticular activating system in your brain is going to search out experiences for you that reinforce whatever you ask it to go fetch. That's what an intention is. It's a bone we throw to the dog of our brain, the reticular activating system, and say, go fetch me. If I want to say, go fetch me anxiety, it will. I'll bring you a whole bunch of bones of anxiety. No, thank you. Right. But if it fetches peace, if we instruct this part of ourselves to fetch us more than enough, being relaxed, having fun, feeling joy, receiving financial abundance, like whatever that might be, right? So that's what we're really, and what that's going to lead us into is our interactive work for today's episode, which is thinking about this new quarter of the year. So how many of you think about your year in quarters? I worked in a corporate job, so it's just very much the training, right? You have quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4. Each of them are 3 months of the year. They equal our 12 months. There's fabulous books written for entrepreneurs like the 12-week year, where you kind of basically have 4 years in every year. So just put 12 in the chat or year in the comments or chat if this is how you think about your year. Just curious how many people. I really love the quarter system, if you will. I really like it. And I'll share why I like it and then how we can have it, whether you like it or not, how it could work for you this week and this year. Okay. So the reason I like it is because we have a new year every 3 months. We also have a way to zero in and hone in on something important to us, with a little more focus than just like a whole 12-month period. Because if we just say, here's my goal for the year, right? We've all done this, right? It's very easy for it to be September and be like, oh, yikes, haven't really done much on that puppy. But if we say, this is where I'm going to be at the end of 90 days or 12 weeks, there's a very different sense. We create a healthy, in my mind, sense of urgency. Now, some things are going to take more than one quarter, right? If you're writing a book, some of you write a book in a quarter, and some of you are going to write a book in 2 quarters, right? And so, yeah, like Karen said, some of the things will be a year and some of the quarter. All right. So who wants to have some fun about quarter 2 today? This is an eclipse day. There's all kinds of magical things happening a couple hours from now. Like we're gonna, have this sort of Ray Bradbury moment, depending on where you are in the world, you'll be able to see different pieces of it. And it's exciting. It's exciting because it means there's movement. There's new perspective. Think about an eclipse. Something becomes obscured and then brings back the light. Like there's all kinds of stuff, right? We could get into around this. It's interesting. So quarter 2, what I want us to think about is, where do you want to be in 90 days? That's the classic question of using the quarter system. It's like, so April 1st, April, May, June. So by July 1st, by June 30th or 31st, right? End of June, let's think about what you want to see happen in your life. All right, let's just take a moment and take some breaths. And sometimes we're just going at such a velocity, we don't ever have a break to even think about it. All right, so I'm going to be quiet for just a couple minutes. Maybe Jill, if we could play some of the flutes. Probably ding us and make us take it out of the recording later, but let's try it. And take some breaths and see if you could drop from your head, like maybe your ego, into your heart and your soul. What is your heart and your soul? Where does that part of you want to be at the end of June? Just scroll through the areas of your life, personally and professionally. Just write down everything you'd love to see happen by the end of June 2024. Deep breaths. You're doing great. Just let it unleash. What would you love? Okay, and then take a deep breath and just stretch your arms up into a Y, like you're giving yourself a yes. Somatically, you are giving yourself a yes. A yes, yes, yes. And can you guys hear me okay? Because my computer speaker keeps switching. Okay, good. Beautiful. As long as you can hear me. Okay, so you're giving yourself a yes, yes to this list. Now, I want you to star or circle the one, two, or three most important to you. Okay, if you wrote down like 15 things, I want to know either the most important one or the top three. Okay, great. And some of you are sharing yours in the chat. Please feel free to do so and in the comments so we can witness you and celebrate. When you write a goal down, it jumps to something like, I've heard 80% more likely to happen. Some people say it's 45. It's a lot more. Okay. So, yes. So think about that and how exciting it is, even if you write it down for yourself, if you make it social, which is what we're talking about here, where you're actually, saying it in a group chat, you go up into the 90s. It's very, very high, right? To make it for sure, you get accountability, you get in community, you get your strategy, right? All right, so I love this. We've got book portals complete. We've got books being ready, be in your new apartment, and 100 units of your comedy writing healing course. Look at this. These are awesome. These are awesome. Okay, now what we want to do is, how many of you were at our very, very first event of 2024? We did it on like January 4th, and it was the event that I lead every year about your vision for the year. And the reason I'm asking is because I shared something at that workshop, at that masterclass. And what I shared is that for the first time, just a little bit of a different twist happened for me when I set my intentions and visions for this year. And what that was about was, instead of me focusing on this stuff happening, manifesting, sort of coming into my life, that I was going to put all of my focus on being the person who was the match to that vision. Being the person who was a identity, a thinking, believing, energetic, if you're into energy, and a action aligned person who was aligned with that goal. Does this bring up anything? Those of you that weren't there at the January workshop, I want to presence it again at quarter 2, because I did this exercise over the weekend. And I said, okay, I want to check in on my annual goals. And then I'm going to look at my Q2, doing the work we're doing today. And I want to see how I'm doing around that commitment and that intention of being the person, instead of like, oh, I hope I get to be on this podcast or speak at this event or have this goal with the book. Am I being the thought leader, the generous, giving, person that is a match to those particular goals? It's not about innate worthiness. We're not talking about that. Okay. That's not what's on the table here. What is on the table, though, is if I have a top podcast that I love and I listen to every single week, like Mel Robbins or Stephen Bartlett, and I'm like, I would love to be on their show. Am I a match to the people they have on their show? How do I find out? I can just go to the websites of the people that have been guests over the last 2 months and I look at their bios and I see, am I doing the level of things? Some of it's about audience size, some of it's about certain credentials with books. There's something about certain credentials of visibility. And so that's not about me being a good or bad person or worthy or not worthy person. It's just, am I a match? Right? Yeah, and authentically always, Paige, right? And so I saw some areas where I was totally being a match to my vision. And I saw some places that I get to rev up in quarter 2 to rise, right? Our podcast is The Rise. And so then it's exciting because we get our roadmap. It's like, what does that look like? So what I want to ask you is when you look at what you wrote down as your number 1, 2, or 3 visions for quarter 2, your goals for quarter 2, what does being a match look like? What does the person who has that experience by the end of June 2024, what is he, she, they thinking, doing, and believing? All right, just want you to free write on that for a minute. You can spend more time on this later because this is a pretty in-depth exercise. Like I spent a good chunk of time yesterday on this, right? So this is the inquiry I want to invite you into this week. And again, not about, am I good enough? Am I like, that's not what we're talking about here. But if you want to, make $20,000, what are the things you're going to offer to people that they can invest $20,000 in, right? All right, so let's just take 2 minutes and just whatever initially comes through for you on this. What is the match to these goals? All right, let's just work on that for a moment or two. Just really think about it. What is the match for what you're doing, thinking, believing, then having these wonderful goals manifest by the end of the quarter? Okay, let's do a breath. Whatever you started with, that's just a place to start. It's not the, end all be all, right? You're going to continue this. And let's reach up our arms again and give yourself another yes to being this person, to being the version of you. It's not someone else. It's not a fake version of you. It's actually the real you. And one of Jen in the chat asked, but how do you be the person of something you haven't ever achieved? That's an understandable question, right? It's like, how would I know? Well, to me, first of all, I vision on it, right? I just tune in intuitively. And there's some obvious things that usually intuitively come to mind that are examples of how I would do. For example, if I'm going to raise my revenue this quarter, and one of the things I know I'm not going to do is probably, stay in bed all day, schlep around, like not show up online, not be generous, not reach out to people. I mean, you can also get the contrast list, right? Those of you that were at our fall event in Chicago, I did the what not to do video, right? And it was just like, here's how to make sure you don't achieve your quarter two goals. This is a really fun exercise. So Jen, thank you for bringing this to us. If you're not sure what to put on this part two of our inquiry, put the prompt on the top of a piece of paper that is how to make sure I don't achieve these goals. Okay. How would I ensure that I will not achieve these goals by the end of the quarter? Okay. And you're going to kind of laugh, but you'll say things probably like avoid reaching out to anyone about what I do. Don't write, just watch TV. Beat self up and feel like crap, compare myself to others. You know what I mean? Like, how many people could make a list if I did that prompt now? How many people could come up with a list of the ways to ensure that you do not make your goal? It could even be less like exaggerated. For example, if you have something on your goals that I hope you do for quarter two, that's different than what you've achieved before, that's new, that stretches you, I hope that's the case, then one thing I'm not going to do is do exactly what I did in quarter one, because then I would already be there. I would already have created it, right? So does that bring a little clarity? I really love this. I'm so happy when you guys ask questions because that'll help us tease this apart a little bit. It is an easier list to create, right? So start with that, right? And even just me saying, well, it's not going to be what I did, but I had an amazing, first quarter was, I'm so grateful. I'm so honored, phenomenal growth, but it isn't going to get me to what I want for quarter two in terms of the contribution I want to make as a thought leader, in terms of the creativity I want to express, in terms of the craft I want to develop, in terms of the visibility that I want to generate, in terms of the financial goal that I have. It won't be just rinse and repeat. Now, your goal might be, I feel so awesome about the first 3 months. I want to do exactly the same thing. That is awesome. Like, go for it. But I think that it's really crucial to understand if there is different action. How many people feel like they're going to do a new level of action or different actions in quarter two to achieve these goals that you've written down today? Who feels like there's some new action? Sometimes it's just simply, it's a different goal. I might've been writing a book in the first quarter and I'm growing my podcast in the second quarter, right? So it's just, that's very clear. It's like one, I was writing every day. The other one, I'm going to be working on content for a podcast. Yeah. Okay. I love where you guys are taking this. All right. Now, how many of you have a financial goal as one of your top three? Like there's an amount of revenue you're interested in generating over these next few months. Okay. So that is perfect timing because we are in our whole series on the podcast here in Thought Leader Lounge. We're going to be doing our masterclass series at the end of the month called Abundance Rising. So this is all free. There is a workbook with pre-work and there is a link to register for the Abundance Rising Masterclass series. It's 3 days, April 29th, 30th, and May 1st, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Jill, if you could share the link so all of you on Zoom can get it right now. Again, it's completely free. There's no anything. There's just, it's a gift. And you register for that, and then you just DM me on Instagram or somewhere to get the workbook. Or if you register, we'll make sure you get sent the workbook. Okay. Those of you on social, just put the word abundance or put the phrase Abundance Rising in the chat, and then we'll make sure you get a ticket to the events, the master classes, and also the workbook, okay? Because if you want to really rise your financial abundance this quarter, this workbook, it's extensive, it's thorough, It's transformational. It's going to work on the inner change and the outer action. Okay. And then we're going to be training live on those 3 days. So I really hope you'll join us for that, because that's where I'll be able to support you the most around having a shift. So just if you're on Zoom, use this link that's in the chat and register right now. So you've got your ticket and we can get you the workbook. Okay, perfect. And actually, Jill, if you have the workbook link too, go ahead and we can share that too. I'm not sure if we have it handy. Yeah, Patia, that's what I need help with, the interchange. Yep. Okay, so just register for the class and then we'll be able to get you the workbook. Okay. And the workbook directly links to the whole podcast episode that goes with each part of the workshop. So you don't need to go search for it. It's just like click, click, click. Okay, that's because we have an awesome team that knows how to do cool shit that I don't know how to do and embed that for you. Okay, so that's, yeah, we should have that later today. That's coming really soon. Okay, amazing. So who feels excited? Who feels excited about this quarter now, having just spent a little few minutes on where you're going, and then who you get to be and what you get to do to be a match for that vision? So just put E in the chat or the comments if you feel some excitement. Now, it might not be excitement yet. It might just be like, oh, okay, I got a thumbs up from Margaret. Okay, lots of E's, excited. Yeah, I feel more excited when I stay in the vision. Here's what's not helpful. Can it happen? Am I worthy? What happened last time? All that stuff. That's what we're going to be clearing out in the Abundance Rising workbook and the training days. That's why we had to add. We can't do it all in Thought Leader Lounge, right? So I'm really excited for us to do this work over this next month and really this next 90 days so that you have the quarter of your life. And then every quarter gets to be that. That's why I love Louise Hay, founder of Hay House. Every time she turned a new year, like a birthday would happen, she'd say, oh, yes, this gets to be the best year of my life so far. And then every year gets to be that. Because, right, we were all raised, a lot of us, and I shouldn't say we all, many of us you might have been raised like I was, which is like, well, if this was a good year, then you're going to have a bad year. Where's the other shoe dropping? That is a myth. That is a scarcity mentality that we get to release. Who's ready to release that? This whole series about Abundance Rising, releasing scarcity, releasing the starving artist, releasing the broke coach, releasing the struggling entrepreneur. It's done. It's time to be done with that now, right? This is the rise into the empowered, prosperous, resourced, overflowing, abundant leader that you came here to be. That's the rise that we're taking together. All right. So I'm really excited. You're going to see that. You'll see the social post. We're doing it in the lounge, but make sure you come and block those days off 12 to 1 Eastern at the end of the month so we can do some deeper transformative work, because there's just some work around worth and around belief and around identity and around new actions now that are really important. So here's a teaser. Studies are showing right now that the majority of sales, if you sell something, a product, a program, a service, a course, whatever version of that is your jam, that the majority of sales, I'm talking in the 90 percentile, happened after 8 follow-ups. 8 follow-ups. How many of you are following up over 8 times with everyone that you talk to about doing something? Put 8 in the chat. If you are, and I don't mean a mass email, like 8 emails. I'm talking about you're reaching out, you're connecting, you're nurturing. I wasn't following up always 8 times with every single person. Corinne's doing it. So Corinne, you keep going. Right? That's right. Just for right now. That's just what we're, so isn't that interesting? Isn't that empowering to know? So it's like part of what we're going to do in quarter 2 is we're going to create, those of you in Thought Leader Academy, we're going to create an 8 follow-up plus system, right? Those of you in Master, right? We're going to do that. Okay. That's what we'll be working on this year. Okay. And those of you in Abundance Rising, we're going to get it started. It just takes, it's going to take us a little time to put that all together, right? Isn't that interesting? I feel empowered. Knowledge can be powerful. I don't think it's the highest thing in the world, right? I mean, intuition and, what's coming in from source, but nice to know, really helpful. Because if you're like, God, my sales are down, this is a place we can check in. Oh, if I say I want to make $100,000 this quarter, I'm gonna build in more follow-up time and a more robust follow-up process. For example, does anyone feel like that's useful? Put you in the chat or the comments, like this is useful to hear. I thought it was very useful. I'm grateful to know. I don't mind doing the work. I just need to know what to do sometimes. Does anyone else feel like that? It's like I'm happy to do it. Now, sometimes I'm not sometimes I'm in resistance. I don't want to do the work either. Like it could be the whole spectrum, right? But yeah, this is what we're doing in this series. That was a little teaser that you guys got for coming on the lounge today. Okay. So make sure that you are registered for the masterclass. If you can't come live 12 to 1 those 3 days, we'll send you the replays. Just we want you to have this work because it's going to take more than business as usual to have a financial and business and impact rise in Q2 2024. So that's why we were going to do this. Most of us are going to North Carolina like a week later. We weren't going to like put in another training, but it's time, it's needed. We're going to hit it now at the beginning of the quarter. Yeah. Amy Day is saying, my takeaway, I get to be specific about what my goal is and to leverage trackers so I'm following up. Exactly. Exactly. So the more clear we are, the more easy it is for the whole universe to start orchestrating events in our favor, not because the universe is like withholding from us otherwise, but simply because it's a lot easier if someone says, you know what I'd like is a bowl of shrimp stir fry. You know, if I want to take care of someone and say, I'd love to make you lunch that would feel really good to you, what would you like? And they say, I'd like shrimp stir fry. And I make the shrimp stir fry and they're so excited and they feel so happy. I did it just the way they like it, you know, scrambled the egg, whatever. Versus if someone's like, I'm hungry. And then I bring them a almond croissant because I think, ooh, that sounds yummy. And they're like, I don't like sugar. I hate the taste of almond. Like, that's not helpful. I know, I'm so excited to and we're building in, Pandia, thank you for saying North Carolina. Those of you that want to get a golden ticket to the Write and Grow Rich retreat, all right, we're going to put the link in here. We have 5 golden tickets. It's like in here, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. If you're already our client, right, you're already in, you've got that. But we did build in the time for yoga for people that want to do the yoga in the afternoons. So you will have space and enjoy. All right. So golden ticket application is in the chat also. We'll put it on social. All right. There's so much opportunity to connect, to be supported, to rise together this year. It's really exciting. So I'm wishing you all a phenomenal week. Those of you in Thought Leader Academy and Mastery, I will see you in our sessions this week. Everybody else, I want you to work on being intentional, work on your quarter. Who's going to come back and make sure by the lounge time? Next week, we're going to be on a photo shoot. So I'm going to see if we can broadcast live. Would you guys like to see behind the scenes of like an author photo shoot, like how to do it? I'm trying to broadcast live from the studio there. We're just checking it out. Okay. So I'm hoping to be able to do that. But no matter what, actually, you all put in the chat here, when will you have your Q2 goals done? Along with the second part of the inquiry, which is what's the match? What am I doing, believing, and thinking? What are my habits? Okay, I'm really going to try to see if we can broadcast from there. Okay, Heidi's going to have hers done Tuesday at 5, tomorrow by 5. Helen's going to have it done by the end of the week. Amy's having it done today. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Corinne's having it done by tonight. We just want you to have some accountability. End of the day, great. Pantea, great. Today, Jade, Paula's going to have it done by Thursday. Karen's already done. End of day, Abraham. Woohoo, Abraham, I love it. Okay, awesome. It's on Gina's schedule already. Phenomenal. Okay, so your action steps, your homework from the lounge, you're going to write those goals, and then what makes you a match, both in action and thinking and believing. Sign up for the Abundance Rising Masterclass so we can also get you the workbook as soon as that's ready, hopefully later today or tomorrow. And if you want to win a golden ticket to the retreat, you can schedule a time or fill out the application. Okay. All right. Jen's going to envision herself as the author who gets the advance. Awesome. You guys are amazing. Who feels ready to like fired up? Like I'm ready to go like get after it now. All right. We've had great energy in here. I'm so happy you guys came on. Those of you on social, if you ever want to come in the Zoom room, you just need to send us your email. So just DM me your best email address and we'll give you the Zoom link each week. All right. You guys are amazing. Let's do it. I will see you tomorrow, thought leaders. All right. Bye-bye.